All right. Let's start with first of all, with some of the common mistakes that I saw in some of the scripts, to be precise. So let's start. Okay. So the first one I will talk about is the general mistakes that is not very topic specific. So these are some of the general mistakes that people usually do, and it's not common for any particular topic. It can be from any. The first one is not reading the case study or questions carefully. I have seen quite a lot of times wherein person that did not read the case study properly. Because see, if you check out the auditor's questions, if you check out the internal controls questions, deficiencies or direct controls whatsoever, or if you check out the last question, we know that section B is very, very predictable, right? We all know that. So sometimes what happens is we assume things when supposedly if it is a new client. Sometimes it's not written it's a new client, but I have seen people assuming it's a new client, which is a major mistake. Even with the questions, in questions sometimes it's written a big not, especially in your section A. People usually forget to check out this. Or in the questions in terms of your section B, there are multiple in substantive procedures questions. If they have specifically mentioned that we have to talk about the existent assertion or valuation assertion, so you have to talk about those assertions in your substantive procedures. And if you're skipping those, ultimately you're not going to get any marks. And that was a very, very silly mistake that you probably have done, because you did not just read the question properly. Probably if you would have read the question properly, you would be able to answer it even better and hence scoring better marks. So it's always essential. I know that the questions or the format of the questions and the case studies are always repeated, but please make sure that you're still reading the full sentence of the question that it is asking you, and then only jumping to a conclusion or jumping to your answer, not before that. That's the first one. The second one is not writing answers as per marks provided, writing too less or too much. This is a very, very common mistake. I think you people all have done in some point, in some test or the other, wherein all you have not written as per the marks. If, for example, it is a substantive procedure question, or let's suppose, let's not talk about substantive procedures, let's talk about the knowledge based questions. So if it is like a 4 marker question, or let's suppose say 5 marker question, so you have to write as per the marks provided. You cannot write a single liner answer and expect the examiner to give you full marks, full 5 marks. You have to write as per the marks. The points have to be written as per the marks. Sometimes a question in a particular question, they give you like 2 points A and B, and it is a 6 marker. So ideally it should be 3 and 3. Like in the last test that we did, test number 6, written representation was one of the aspects. Written representation, yes, and the other one was the procedures. I have seen for certain scripts, so technically it should have been 3 plus 3, right? It was a 6 marker. So technically 3 for the written representations and 3 for the procedures. But I've seen people writing 7, 8 procedures also in that, which is very absurd, A, which is wasting a lot of time. You're not going to get any extra marks for the extra procedures that you're writing. If you are not sure, you can probably write one extra, but that too towards the end. I'll discuss about the time management also and this aspect also, but just make sure that you're not writing too less, because again, that will also lead to lesser marks because you have not written as per the marks, or you are writing too much, which will lead to time management issues in the paper, which I think most of you face today also. So make sure that at least this you are not doing, which will contribute to time management issues. So this is the second one. The third one is not taking the knowledge based question seriously. So now when I was, because in all of the tests, if you see, I have included a knowledge based question, simply because if you've seen the first test also that we did in the starting of the month, I included a knowledge based question even in that, because I want you people to practice it from the starting itself, right? But still, I have seen scripts wherein A, people have skipped the knowledge based questions because they told me that I will be preparing towards the end, which is part of it is okay, but still, at least when you practice, when you write more, that is when you tend to understand how to write better, because sometimes even the knowledge based questions you people mess up in writing as per the marks or whatever is asked in the case scenario. Similarly happened with the written representation in the test number 6 also. So that's very essential for you to Understand that knowledge-based questions account for at least 15 to 20% of the entire paper. You see in question one of your section B, you see in section question two, you see in question number three as well. You see in your section A also. So you cannot take it not seriously. And this is such an area of the paper, actually the only area in the paper which can be rote learned. You don't have to rote learn any other things apart from the knowledge based questions. So this is something which will give you very very easy marks, and you don't have to put in a lot of efforts. I have already shared with you people the drive link. It contains some of the commonly asked knowledge based questions, so you can probably go and check that PDF out as well. Otherwise, just go to any of the past papers, pick up the latest 5 6 past papers that are available on the practice platform, and you will be able to see what are the commonly asked the knowledge based questions. I have tried to cover in the test also about the audit planning, etc., which I have personally seen a lot of times coming. So yeah, that's that. The fourth one is not taking IFRSs or the IAS seriously. Now, this is a very repetitive mistake that I personally have seen. I know that it won't fetch you any extra marks. It won't the examiner might not cut any marks if you have not written the relevant standard or the IFRS and IAS in any of the answers. But I personally think whenever, especially in questions which involve audit risk, which is your first question in your section B, that when you're writing the explanation, if you're talking about revenue, if you're talking about provisions, if you're talking about inventory, XYZ, anything, your explanation is always based upon a standard, right? When you talk about that we have to value the inventory at the lower of the cost or the NRV, we are basing it upon IS2. So why not write the name and the number of the standard? Is like, I personally believe that you should always write it for better presentation, for better understanding. The examiner will be happy if they see that you have written the standards also. But I have seen people see, again, if you check out the double A paper and the commonly tested IFRSs, you'll see that there are very basic IFRSs which are always tested. So it's revenue, which is IFRS 15, then IS2, IS 37, IS 38, intangible assets, then IS 36. Sometimes impairment assets, impairment costs are also tested. So very very few standards are tested. So why not remember the name and the number of the standard? I'm assuming you people have all done FR paper, so you would have the basic understanding of the standards, right? So it's always good if you're writing the standards as well. But please guys, don't write, if you people are not sure that what standard number is it or name is it, instead of writing it wrong, please don't write it at all. I have seen scripts wherein people have written IS 28, wherein IS 28 intangible assets, they wanted to mention 38, and it's not a typo error. They have written in the same script, I have seen it 4 5 times, so it's not a typo error. It's just that the student probably did not remember the correct number of it and therefore has written wrong. If you're writing wrong, it will create a very bad impression on the examiner that you do not know the standard. So if you don't remember it, simply skip it, right? So this is again essential. The next thing is time management. I think I have focused enough upon time management in each and every test also, but it's essential. I have told you that it's essential, but how to manage it is, see, couple of things. I hope you people have checked out the time management video also. That's very specific to AA students. But one or two, the recommendation that I can give you is always stick right now when you people will be appearing for the mock. Please take 1.5 minutes per mark. Don't go by 1.8, because 1.8 is as per the exam scenario. Right now, when you will be appearing for the mock, you people are at your own comfort zone. You are at your home. You use your own laptops wherein you are familiar with the keyboard, etc. In the exam, you might not be familiar with the environment. You are not, of course, familiar with the environment. You're not familiar with the typing, the keyboard, because I've heard that sometimes the keys malfunction or something or the other happens. So you have to be prepared for each and everything. Always prepare for the worst. I would just say that if you prepare for the worst, you know how to tackle in the exam scenario. So right now, when you people will be appearing for the mock, please make sure that you are going as per 1.5 minutes per mark. As soon as supposingly it's a 6 marker question, multiply the time by this, and whatever minutes that you get, for example approximately 9 minutes over here comes around, as soon as 9 minutes for that particular question ends, for example it's a substantive procedure question, as soon as 9 minutes are over, keep a timer with you ready nearby on your phone or something, and as soon as 9 minutes get over, please skip and move to the next question, leave it there then and there and move to the next question. Because if you go by 1.5 minutes dedicatedly in the like towards the end, when you're done with the entire paper, you are going to left with, you are going to your 15-20 minutes will be left, and that is when you can utilize those 15-20 minutes to a revise and simultaneously cover up the questions or answers that you did not write before. So for example, if here I was only able to write 5 points, I was not able to write six, so one, I can come back to the question later when 15-20 minutes are remaining, I can revise whatever I've written, I can also add one more point. So that ways I'm revising simultaneously, I'm adding extra point. If you want to add two extra points, you can also do that. So that is how I would say that you can manage time. I think I have told this to multiple students in the previous attempts, and they were able to follow this approach, and it was useful for them. So probably you people also can try in the mock. In the mock, everything can be tried, and then see if this works out for you. All the people who face like half an hour, 1 hour difference in the time management, this will be a very useful tip for you. Then the next one would be again this one, of course, writing too much or too less. Always stick to the marks. Don't overwrite. Don't write lesser. Third would be that always again identify why you people are facing time management issues. Is it because you're reading the, you're taking too much time to read the case study? Because I've seen people reading the case study twice, thrice, which is not how it is supposed to be when you have done so much of practice in the last 1 month. Right now everything should be on your tips, and you should not be reading the case study twice. Of course, one paragraph, if you're not able to understand, you can reread it, but not the full case study. That is going to take a lot of time. So make sure when you're reading the case study, you're opening up your brains, because sometimes what happens is we're reading the case study, but we are not able to understand anything. We're just reading it, we're not understanding anything, and we just then go from the starting and then reread the case study. So make sure that when you're reading the case study for the very first time, you are dividing it paragraph by paragraph, as we all do in the audit risk when we're talking about the structure of it. And you people are not reading it multiple different times. Typing speed, if somebody is an issue has an issue with that also, again, I do not have any tips as such for that. It's just that more practice will lead to better typing speed. So that's that. So that is how probably you will be able to manage time. Just make sure that this one is the golden tip that I can give you, because I have personally used it for myself as well. I found it really helpful, and I have suggested to the students also. They also found it helpful. There was a student in my AAA batch last, like the previous quarter, September attempt, and she was able to complete the entire mock in 4.5 hours, the mock one that she appeared for with me. And that's when I told her that probably try this if it works out for her. And then she was able to, of course still she was able to not complete the entire questions, but at least she was able to complete, I think, 89% of the paper, jahan pe she was only able to complete around 70 if she was not following the tips. So again, if it works out for you, try in the mock, or if any other test you're appearing for, try in that, probably it works out. Then the next one is doing a lot of spelling or grammatical mistakes. This is another very, very underrated general mistake that I have seen in the paper. Of course, I have talked about in the group as well with you people, but genuinely believe that if it is like a small error, it's a simple one spelling mistake in a sentence or in a paragraph. There's a one spelling mistake. Of course, nobody bothers about it. It's not English examination. But if in a single sentence there are a lot of spelling errors or a lot of grammatical errors, it can pose a challenge. Why? Because you have to understand, guys, that the examiner who is evaluating knows English really well. It is their mother tongue, right? They know English really well. And when I am evaluating, I'll try to read and try to analyze and try to find that what were you trying to say if there are a lot of spelling mistakes in the single sentence. But that person first of all, knows English really well, so they will be pissed off. Second of all, they have hundreds of script to check in a day, so they don't have time to take to understand what you're trying to say. They'll simply cross. Even though अगर वो आपका सही भी था, even though if it was right, then also you won't be getting marks simply because there were a lot of spelling errors or grammatical errors. I have seen scripts wherein the person, because there was a lot of grammatical errors, the meaning of that particular explanation completely changed. And when I talked to the person, I sent them a voice note and they told me that this was the explanation I was writing. I told them that you were correct, but because of the grammatical errors, I was not able to understand what you were trying to say. So if you are not able to communicate your explanation to the examiner, not able to tell what you're trying to explain, again, you're not going to score any marks. So make sure whatever you're writing is, again, reread it, or when you're revising, just quickly go through it. If there's any grammatical error or any spelling error, just correct it and you'll be good to go. So these were some of the general mistakes. Some other mistakes that I found in some of the scripts was, right, this we have already discussed: writing wrong standard name on the number, making spelling errors, writing lots of short. Yes, this is another, I think I found in the main group, the being SSA AA global group. People were talking about whether we can write short forms or no. Guys, you can write short forms which are acceptable short forms. For example, GDN, GRN, these are all acceptable short form. BOD, management, these are all acceptable short forms. But when you make your own short forms, that does not make any sense. If you're, for example, let's take a word from here, for example, number, if you're just writing this does not make any sense because these short forms have been curated by us. These are not globally acceptable. Nobody would understand. They will think it's no, not number, right? So if you're using some of the commonly used short forms, it's absolutely fine. You can use them, but make sure that you're not making up your own short forms and using them in the examination. It won't fetch you any marks. The fourth one is rewriting the statement from the question again when drafting the answer. This I think I have found in multiple different scripts, and I've highlighted specifically in your scripts that it's repeated. Why is it repeated? Or I've crossed it completely. So what the students does is, for example, if I'm talking about audit risk, so I've written the statement from the question, and when I'm writing my explanation, technically, the person has again copy pasted this particular statement over here and then wrote this is a risk and it will lead to overstatement. Why are you repeating the same thing? Just because you want to increase the length of the answer, the examiner will simply cross it and would not give you any marks because it's sheer repetition. If you've written the same thing here, then writing the same thing here, it won't fetch you any marks. The examiner is not a fool, right? Similarly, for the substantive procedures, also I've seen multiple different students writing one substantive procedure. They have written about, for example, physically inspect to check the existence, for example. And then in the sixth one, they're again writing similar substantive procedure in a twisted format. The examiner is again not fool. They will understand that you have done a repetition of the same thing just to increase your points or just to increase the length of the answer. Will not fetch any marks. So make sure that you're not repeating your answers, the explanation, you're not repeating the questions statement in your answers. That won't fetch you any marks. It's not 11th and 12th, guys, wherein we write the question in the starting and then write because, or this is because, or as. This is not our junior classes, so please don't repeat the same thing over here. Won't fetch any marks. Merging statement from question and heading, this is again not a very common mistake I have seen, but yes, I have seen. So let's discuss this one as well. So basically what happens is, supposingly I am writing, let's talk about PPE. All right, I found a question, the statement from the question, and I've copy pasted over here. So what the student does is, using the same statement from the question, they copy paste over here, they bold this out, and then start their explanation from here. So typically, what is your heading? You bold your headings, right? You don't bold your statement from the question. So student has merged their heading and statement from the question into one and simply wrote the explanation over here. Again, you won't fetch marks because statement from the question is still missing. And mind you, they don't copy paste the entire statement. They copy paste only one part of the statement. So technically it should be a heading. It should not be the statement from the question. So it won't fetch you the half a mark for the statement from the question. So make sure If you don't want to write headings, don't skip it completely. If you're writing the headings, headings should be separate, then statement from the question, and then the explanation has to be there, as we have also discussed in all of the test debriefs, all of the, if you've checked my past paper videos out also, in those also I had discussed the same thing. So I hope we are aligned on that. Now let's talk about topic wise mistakes. The first one is your audit risk related questions. The first one is not writing the heading. Again, this is not really a mistake. This is just, again, as I always say, it's just for presentation. If you don't write it, you won't get any, the examiner won't cut any marks. If you write it, you won't just get marks for the headings. So it's irrespective. It's just good for the presentation. If you want to write it, it's good. I encourage you writing the same because it won't take you more than 2 to 3 seconds per heading to write it, and there are 8 to 9 risks that you probably write, so it won't take you more than 30 seconds to write all of the headings. So I think that much you can contribute to your presentation. The next one is not writing statement from the question. Again, this is, I hope that we are not doing this mistake now, because if you're not writing the statement from the question and you're simply stating, this will lead to overstatement or this will lead to understatement or whatever it is that you're writing, your half a mark straight away is gone. You're not going to get full at all over here. And this is followed in all of the risk questions. So, approximately 4 5 marks are straight away gone from your the question, right? So please write the statement from the question. You can copy paste the exact statement from the question, from the case study to your answer script. That's acceptable in the exam. Then the next one is not talking about the impact. So now this impact is the impact that I talk about, the financial statement. How is your financial statement getting affected because of XYZ risk? So if, for example, there is a provision risk or if there is a revenue risk, so you always talk about that it is going to lead to overstatement of the revenue in the financial statements, or about the provisions, understatement of the provisions, understatement of the asset, etc. So that is very, very important. If you've written all the explanation, right, but you have not written the impact on the financial statements, the half a mark for explanation is again gone. You're not going to score. So even if you have written long story but there's no impact in the financial statements, so don't expect the examiner to give you marks, because this is the main thing that the examiner always looks forward to, right? Next thing is presentation. Again, for audit risk questions, again, let me reiterate the presentation style. It should always be a heading if you're writing it. If you're not writing it, it's absolutely fine. Then you leave a line, then you write the statement from the question that will fetch you half a mark, leave another line, and then write your explanation. So now explanation is always divided into two halves. Explanation, when you're explaining how is it a risk. So if you're talking about revenue, how is it a revenue, which is basically talking about the standards over here, you can talk about that. And then you're talking about the impact. These two things cumulatively will fetch you half a mark. So this is the presentation that we follow for your the audit risk questions. The next one is getting confused between audit responses and SP, which is substantive procedures. This is a very, very common mistake that I have personally found in most of the scripts. If I quickly, guys, tell you the difference between these two, audit responses is the first instinctual response that the auditor will give to the management, or will have once they find that there is a risk or there is a potential risk in the financial statements. All right, right, there can be possibility that there is no risk, it's just potential, it can happen, there can be a risk. When you people write the risk, there can be a risk, you write the statement like that, right? Sometimes you write that there is a risk. So here we are talking about my first instinctual response. I'm not going to deep dive into the process of it or do intense research or do intense evidencing, etc. No, I'm not going to do that. At first, what is my instinctual response when I see, for example, if I see that there can be a misstatement of the, so supposing they have not recorded the provisions, right? They should record a warranty provision. So probably I'll discuss with the management that what is the basis, that why have they not recognized the provisions as per the standard, or probably I'll inspect some documents, just the basic surface level things that I do. Whereas in your substantive procedures, it's very, very detailed. You do so much of supporting documentation, you do so much of review, recalculation work, all of these. So it's very detailed, detail oriented, very, very intricate, whereas your oral responses are very surface level things that you just do corresponding to the risk that you have identified in the question. So whatever risk, for example, revenue risk. So what is the revenue? It can be overstated. So that is what you're going to talk about to the management, that why is it overstated, or discussion with the finance director on the impact, etc. But substandard procedures will check the 360 degree of the revenue, whatever the risk that was there. If I'm talking about substandard procedures, they will be 360. I'm talking about everything. I'll check the past year statements also. I'll do the comparison also. I'll check the disclosures also. Everything I'm going to check. But in the responses part, it's just about that particular risk which is arising in the question. Nothing apart from that. So please make sure that you're not confusing yourself between these two. The next one is copy pasting the entire paragraph instead of the exact lines. This is again, I have seen in certain scripts, not majority of them, wherein supposedly I read a quest. This is the paragraph from the question in the case study, right? And I found the risk over here, somewhere here. This line was a risk, or for example, these two lines was the risk. Rest was just fillers, as we know that in the case study there are always fillers. So these two were actually the risk, these three were not the risk, but still the student copy paste the entire paragraph in the answer and then they write the explanation. Guys, if suppose now if I see that this particular paragraph, I as an examiner, I'll read this line and I'll find that there's no risk over here, so I'll cross this. I'll read this line, no risk, cross this. I finally found the risk here, right? So as an examiner, I again need to find the risk, which was your job. You need to tell me what is the risk. You need to find the risk, right? So if this is the case scenario, the examiner again won't give you half a mark for identification because examiner technically identified, not you. So make sure that you're copy pasting the exact line only from the question, and that you're just writing that particular thing into your answers, not the full paragraph. The next one is combining two or more risks. This is more so an error only. Of course, nobody does it intentionally, but again, if you find, because sometimes what happens is in a single line, in two lines, there are two separate risks. One ends here and then second starts over here. But because we are probably in a hurry, or we ignore it, or probably by mistake we are not able to find two risks, we combine them, and which will lead to losing out on marks, right? So please make sure, again, this is part of your reading the case study carefully so that you identify that there are two different things over here, not one. The next one is assuming standards. Now, this is again really, really essential. Never ever, as because every standard has two parts to it. If you see, let's take the example of IS2. There are two parts of it. The one is wherein the inventory can be calculated by using the weighted average cost of method, right? Another one is about the valuation, that it should be valued as per the cost, the lower of the cost, or NRV. So when I give you people the statement that the inventory is being valued by using weighted average cost of method, I guess. So a lot of people have written, why are they using the weighted cost of capital? That's not correct. The management should not do it. No, they can do it. If you read IS2, it does do it. So because we have a habit that it should be only recognized as the lower of the cost in NRV, so we assume that the case study is also talking about that, whereas it is not talking about that. So please, guys, again, if you want to, please brush up your standards a little bit. There is a PDF in the same drive link that I've shared with you people. You can check that out as well. That contains some of the commonly asked standards, so it will be a very good revision for you from there. The next one is risk versus threats. Now, in some of the questions, especially in question number one, you do get questions related to ethical threats, wherein you talk about the control, the deficiencies, the ethical deficiencies. Supposingly, they're talking about a new client or something on those lines. Or, for example, the threat was about the self-review, self-interest, advocacy, all of those. But I've still seen people writing audit risk there. I've seen people talking about detection risk in ethical threats, deficiencies, whatever the question is. So please make sure, guys, again, these are two separate topics, very, very different topics. Here we are talking about ethics, our threats, the deficiencies which can arise there, or corporate governance deficiencies. And here we're talking about the financial statements, the audit risk in relation to your financial statements. So make sure these are two separate things and you're not clubbing them into one. All right, so the next one is in regards to your internal controls question, which is technically the second question that appears in the paper. The first one, let's start from here. The first one is not writing impact of the deficiency at all. So again, this is very similar to what we have already discussed in the audit risk portion, that when you are not writing the impact of the deficiency. Now, this impact is not related to your financial statements. Internal controls does not have to do anything with the financial statements. I hope we are clear with that, because this is a basic conceptual clarity that you should have. If you're writing overstatement of revenue, understatement of provisions, all of these things, we don't care about financial statements over here. We care how is it impacting my company as a whole, my company, what would happen to the company as a whole. So will the goodwill will be impacted, will the reputation be impacted, will the increase in cost will be impacted, what will happen to the company as a whole, loss of revenue will happen, profitability will reduce. So these things are all the things that probably can happen, can be a probable impact, right? But you do not have to write the impact on the financial statements over here. If you're talking about that, you're not going to score any marks. The next one is writing some of the controls as deficiencies and vice versa. This is again, I would just attribute this one to lack of practice. When you don't practice, that is when you confuse your direct controls to the deficiencies and vice versa. Please, guys, make sure, again, this is also can be attributable to not reading the statement properly. Always read the particular paragraph completely and then jump onto a conclusion, whether it is a deficiency, whether it is a control. Again, it will come with a lot of practice and reading the question little more carefully to be able to identify that these two things are different in a particular case scenario. The next one is thinking questions does not have ample controls or deficiencies. This lies true also for audit risk questions. There have been certain instances wherein, for example, if, again, we know that in the audit risk questions, there are always 8 risks that they usually ask us, right? I've come across people coming up to me in the past paper questions, all right, that they say that there are no 8 risks because we have identified it correctly and we did not miss out on anything, and we were only able to find 6 to 7. They were not 8. Guys, mind you that in the internal controls questions as well as the audit risk questions, if it is asking you 8 audit risks, there would be at least 10 to 11 risks. That is my guarantee. If you don't find these many, you can come back to me and you can say it to me. But at least 10 would be there. 2 extra risks or deficiencies or controls will be there in the particular case scenario. So if you're not able to find it, it's the lack on your practice and you are missing out on some risk, or probably would have combined 2 risks. So again, make sure that you are reading the case study properly again, to be not to be able to then so that you're able to find it correctly. The next one is talking about impact on financial. I think we have already discussed this, that you have to talk about the impact on the company as a whole and not on the financial statements. The last one is writing insufficient recommendations or test of controls. Now, this is a very common thing that I think in this attempt or the previous attempt only seen, wherein what we do usually is, supposingly the deficiency was that there was no segregation of duties. All right, the same person was doing multiple different tasks and he was self-reviewing or something was happening, right? That is a deficiency. You have explained it. Now you're going to the recommendation, you say, ensure that the company is doing segregation of duties. That's not sufficient. We know if you're using the same deficiency, making it positive, that does not make it recommendation. If you people come up to me and ask me a simple doubt, I say ki aise nahi aise kar lo. You would be expecting something else also, that I give you some other recommendation, how to improve, what to do next, what are the actions, plan of actions, etc. You're not expecting me to give the turnaround answer for that, right? So similarly, examiners is not expecting you to give a turnaround answer for it. They want you to add value to the recommendation or the test of control that you are writing. So make sure it is adding certain value. It's not just turnaround of the event that is negatively impacting the company. And it has sufficient value addition to the same, whether it is recommendations, whether it is test of controls. You have to make sure that, or else you won't be getting marks, or probably half a mark, not more than that, in the particular recommendation or test of control. All right, let's move to the next one, which is substandard procedures. We've already discussed all of these points in detail. You people already know. I hope that you people are not learning substandard procedures. I genuinely hope. Is there anybody in this call who has still learned procedures? Be very honest, guys. Be very honest, because ultimately it's for you, it's not for me. So, is there anybody who has learned substantive procedures?
मैम फॉर द लास्ट अटेम्प्ट विच आई फेल्ड आई ट्राइड लर्निंग इट बट वो भी नहीं हुआ मैम इतना डिफिकल्ट वर्डिंग्स थे कि वो भी लर्न नहीं हो रहा था सो आई लेफ्ट इट नाउ
Okay, okay,
एंड नाउ आई स्टार्टेड योर वे ऑफ राइटिंग द आंसर बिकॉज आई गॉट टू नो अबाउट इट बट
hmm.
बिफोर आई लेफ्ट इट ओनली मतलब अब नहीं हो रहा था एंड आई लेफ्ट इट लाइक दैट
Okay, perfect. So, are you able to write your answers now?
या मैम आई गिव द टेस्ट मतलब उसमें उतना अच्छा आई डेंट स्कोर यू सेड दैट आई एम नॉट राइटिंग द असर्शन बट देयर आर सम डाउट्स रिगार्डिंग दैट आई विल टेक्स्ट यू इन व्हाट्सएप
Sure, sure.
या
Okay, Elsa says same. Anybody else who has learned, please tell me honestly. Because we still have a week, I think we can still improve. So if there's anybody who has still learned procedures, please let me know. Okay. Taking the silence as no, probably. Okay, Elsa says rote learning the procedure is far more difficult. Wow. I think those of you who has learned before in the previous attempt probably would not agree. But yeah, okay. Even I agree with you people, because when I was also giving my exam, I think 7 8 years ago, I also felt the same thing, because I was not a student who could learn anything during my study days also. So I agree. Chalo, theek hai. Very good. If you people have not learned the procedures, well done on that. Um, Earlier I was referring to Kaplan Kidd and saw all of them in general, so I left the approach there only. Perfect, perfect. Very nice. Aditi is like, ना learn हो रहे हैं, nor I can form them. You will be able to form, Aditi. Exactly the kit answer. They are general. The kit questions are very general. They don't contain assertions also. None of them. I think only one or two are as per the case study. So in BPP also, yes, they are all general. Even if you check out the, I should not say it, but if you people, because you people will be appearing for the pre-December mock, because I have already created the videos on it. I've created my answers also for it. So if you check out the ACCA answer also for the pre-December mock, you will find most of them general. So I have sat down, created the answers, which includes the assertion, which are case specific. Yeah, yes, Kumail, yes, Mohammed. Even past paper solutions are mostly general. That is what I'm saying, because those are given by ACCA only. And if you check out the pre-December, they are also general. And then they say in the exam that, make it case specific. So I think that is where we come in place. ACCA hub is also general. Yes, yes. So you can, again, if you want any solutions for any of the substandard procedures, please reach out to me. I'll probably help you out with them. Can we write test of controls in case of all procedures? Yes, Rashi, you can write it. Should we learn minimum two general ones? Yes, yes. If it is like a 5 6 marker, two general absolutely works. Rest 3 4 specific absolutely works. Two is okay. Two is fine. Can we have one more session for substandard procedures live practice? I doubt, because we don't have that much of time left, because day after tomorrow you people are going to appear for mock 2. Let's mock 1. Let's see, Nikita, if time permits. Absolutely yes, I'm going to have it. What about substandard procedure questions for a topic where limited information is given in the question? I understand, Muhammad, but sometimes when the limited information is given, it's not more than 4 marks, 4 to 5 marks. I've not seen a question where it is 6 7 marks. So as much as you can write as per the case scenario, write that, finish it off, and then write the general ones. In case of valuation assertion, can we write one or two accuracy assertion? Absolutely yes. Of course, you cannot write all of them as per the valuation assertion. If it is like a 5 to 6 marker, 2 3 valuation, 1 2 accuracy, of course you can include. All right, let's move forward. Again, the next one is very similar to this one, general procedures. So this is similar to this one. Not writing the assertions. Assertions are really essential. They are the answer to the question why that I always discuss. So make sure that you're writing the assertions also. I have created a specific video for assertions only where I'm talking about verbs and assertions. I hope you people have checked that out. If not, please do. Sometimes I today only was checking few scripts for test number 6, and I found that you people see again, guys, it's your agenda is not just to insert assertion. I understand you want to include because you want to make your answers full, but then some of the assertions that you people are writing does not make any sense and does not combine with the procedure that you have written. I found a script wherein the person was physically inspecting the non-current assets, I think, and the assertion was correctness. Does not make any sense. So just don't write the assertion for the sake of writing it. It should also align with the procedure. It should also be correct assertion that you're applying to, right? So in that case, if you don't know the exact understanding or meaning or definition of a particular assertion, please go on the YouTube channel. You will be able to find the assertion video. And I think after that, you might be able to understand it better. Okay, next one is not focusing on the requirement is in in regards to assertion. I think this is very we have discussed this previously as well. This is when the question specifically says that you have to write the substandard procedures for assertion, for valuation or completeness, etc. So please make sure that if it is a 5 marker, at least 2 to 3 is for valuation, is for the particular assertion that the question has asked you for, and then the rest one can be for the other ones as well. Okay, the next one is audit reporting. Okay, I think we have a question. Still failing to separate general and specific substantive procedures. Please watch some videos. That's all I can say. More practice, more videos. That is all what I can say. In case we don't know the assertion to write, should we not write it? Oh my God. Should we not write it? Will we lose lost marks or just a half a mark? It depends on how well have you framed your substantive procedures. There can be a situation wherein getting half a mark, but that's very dicey because ultimately the assertion, the substantive procedure is not completed. Documents checking is confusing for assertions. Checking is not related specifically to assertions. I think it's more related to the verb that you're talking about or the situation that you are referring to. So supporting documentation is more related to that. If we miss the assertion, we will lose the whole mark. Again, I've answered this. What if I have a doubt in assertion. Should I just write the general point? Again, Andrea, it depends on the situation. I would encourage you to, you still have a week to go. So I think, and assertions are not difficult. They are very basic English terminology. You know what is completeness. You won't know what is accuracy. You know what is correctness. You know what is authorization, rights and obligations, all of these basic English wordings. Just align them with your substantive procedures. You'll be able to better understand what certain videos on YouTube, then you'll be able to better relate them to. Put efforts, guys. Just simply stating that ye nahi ho raha hai, this is not happening with me, can I do this, won't fetch you marks on the paper. You don't have any shortcuts in life, also in papers, also in ACCA also. So rather than leaving it at behind that I am not able to do so, think of it, how can I do it? So you still have a week. It's not that your exam is tomorrow, right? So please try and not take out any alternative solution to hard work. I made mistakes in test of controls and orders response. For example, if I discuss the matter with management instead of this inspecting sales invoices only relevant. Um, Harkirata did not understand. Probably you can WhatsApp me. Let's move forward over here. Okay. Missing, so this is in regards to your audit report. Missing or not writing case background, basically what is happening. So basically, I think if you people have attempted the test, you would know that in some of the scripts, I have written case background question mark. That basically means, see guys, every question, every scenario has a structure to follow, has a way of writing basically. All right. So when I am supposing the question says that talk about the audit opinion, talk about the report, what is going to happen, right? If you starting like this is material, this is going to lead to modified opinion, true, and whatever, the rest of the paragraph, etc. What is going to lead to materiality? What is material? When you're talking about this, what is this reference to? Right? That is what I'm saying. So always give a case background to it. That is, The statement from the question, again copy paste, सिर्फ copy paste करने में ही आपको मतलब you can just copy paste it from there, whatever case study they have given to you. For example, they have not recognized the provision, they're not amending the provision, for example. So make sure that you just copy pasting, giving a background that this is happening. Then talk about this thing is material and this will impact our financial statements, it will lead to overstatement, etc., whatever you write, right? So that is really essential. And if you check out the examiner answers, examiner report, examiner marking scheme, you will see that for the case background, or basically the statement from the question, 1 mark out of 5 mark is allocated to this. So if you're not writing this, 1 mark is straight away gone, and 1 mark is not a joke. People who have scored 49, they would understand the value of 1 mark. So make sure that you're writing this. Not knowing the difference between when the question is asking amendment and opinion. Now, this is again essential. I think now I have seen a lot of people not doing this mistake, but I think previously a lot of people did this mistake. When there are two types of questions in the report. When first one is when it is only asking if the financial statement requires an amendment, and the second one would be the audit opinion, right? So when it is only asking about the amendment basically means adjustment. So this is talking about IS 10, that whether the conditions existed previously, whether or not it existed after the year and it happened or no, adjusting, non-adjusting, disclosures, etc. That is what it is just asking. It's not asking qualified opinion, pervasive, materiality, nothing. It does not. IS 10 does not have to do anything with materiality. So if you're talking or relating this to materiality, you're not going to score any marks, because this does not relate to materiality. IS 10 says that if the event existed or the conditions of that event existed prior to the year end, it is adjusting. If it did not appear or it didn't happen before the year end, or conditions did not exist before the year end, it will be a non-adjusting event. So you don't have to adjust anything. You can just simply put a disclosure in the financial statement. So that's all. When it is asking about the reporting area, that is where you have to talk about materiality, material but not pervasive, disclosure and amendment, all of these things. That is where you have to talk about. So make sure that you know the difference between these two, because sometimes in the question they do ask you about the amendment only, and they're not asking anything in relation to the reporting area. All right. Okay. Not writing, again, this is very, very essential. So when the question is talking about the audit opinion, audit report, etc., we always write, because after the opinion paragraph, there is basis for qualified opinion or the opinion paragraph, right? So if you're not writing that, you are again going to lose, sorry, you are again going to lose out 1 out of 5 marks over here. So this is very, very essential. When you have concluded that this will be a material and material but not pervasive qualified opinion, that is where you have to write that it will be followed by basis for qualified opinion paragraph which contains XYZ, whatever the question is. So if make sure guys, because this is, I have seen this as a miss in multiple different scripts, that is, it is essential. The next one is not writing or misunderstanding materiality. Materiality is equally essential. It will again fetch you 1 mark. Materiality is important, and also writing it correctly, calculating it correctly is essential. Always follow the RAP that we have: revenue, assets, and profits, half 1%, half percent, whatever. Follow that approach and only write as per that it is material or not material. Sometimes it also can be material by nature, like related by transactions, any complex transactions like leases, like financial instruments, like forex, foreign exchanges. All of these are material by nature. So even if it's not material by amount, it can be by nature also. So you have to talk about that accordingly. So this is all for the reporting area. Let's move to the section A now. Section A, again, I know sometimes now people have started taking it little more seriously, but previously people used to take it for very granted. Why? Because they think that it is just MCQs. And MCQs are very easy. We just have to select one out of the four. But all of you would have been practicing, and you would know that it's actually very, very tough. It's not just cup of cake when you're just selecting one option and you're good to go. No, that does not happen. So again, section A practice, where to do it from Kaplan, from BPP, from Study Hub. Study Hub can be the least priority. If you're done with everything, then Study Hub. The exam report also contains some of the MCQs which are actually asked in the final exam. So make a note of them, take reference from them. You'll be able to understand better. You can just read the statements also given in the exam reports to understand the section A better. So just put in your hard work and efforts into section A also, as much as you're giving it to the 70 marker, because section A also can make or break the paper. Because if you're scoring above 20 in section A, supposing you've scored 22, you're just left with, you're done with most of the aspect from your this area. So you're just left with 28 to 30 marks to be able to score from 70 marks, which is really, really easy, right? So it's essential for you people to also take section A seriously and try and score above 20 in any case scenario. Not practicing question, very the same thing. Not understanding questions, instead rote learning. Again guys, if you people have rote learned any of the concepts, especially substantive procedures, because substantive procedures, I am today telling you that it is going to appear next Monday in your section A for sure. It is going to be there in section A. So substantive procedures are, if you're learning them, you won't be able to answer the 10 marker question in your section A. I am guaranteeing you, because there they specifically talk about what assertion it is testing, what will happen. Basically it is all about assertions. If you don't know assertions, if you don't know the meaning of assertions, how to write, what to write, you won't be able to attempt the section A question. So please make sure, again, you're not rote learning any of the assertions, any of the verbs, substantive procedures, reporting questions, nothing you're rote learning. You're understanding purely, and then you'll be able to better answer section A questions. So that's that for section A. So till here, we are done with the common mistakes. I hope I was clear enough for all of the mistakes that we usually see in the paper. We have few doubts. Let me stop the recording. All right. So before the mock, so you are going to appear for your mock either tomorrow or day after, which is 24th or 25th of November. No later than that, because guys, Tuesday, 25th would be Tuesday. Your exam is on next Monday. If you submit me on Tuesday, I will be able to evaluate by Wednesday or Thursday maximum. Wednesday is the maximum, although, but I'll try to not go to Thursday. So when you, again, if you get to see a lot of mistakes, right? I hope there are not a lot of them, but still, when are you going to, if you submit me later, Thursday, Friday, when are you going to, work on those mistakes? Because your paper is on Monday, technically, right? So that is the reason till Tuesday, your mock should be with me. And then it is my duty to get it evaluated and send back to you as soon as I can. Right, so that's the first thing. Please don't delay it. I know that you people are working. It's a working weekend, but I cannot do anything. Your exam always appears on Monday. I cannot say कि Saturday को कर लो या Sunday को कर लो. It's not practical at all, because if you're doing on Saturday or Sunday, it probably, इससे अच्छा you don't do it, because it's, again, it's not going to add any value to your preparation, because you won't get time to work on the mistakes. I understand if it is a working day, please take out some time, take a leave or something, because paper is on Monday, so technically you're just left with this last week. If you don't put in efforts this last week, it's going to be a disaster in the on the result day. So that being said, the first one is revise entire syllabus via any notes or videos. So just revise the entire syllabus in a quick format. Probably tomorrow you can do this. I will also be showing you the planner, but I think tomorrow should be the day when you're revising. The first half can be given to the revision if you're trying to give it the mock by tomorrow. I'll encourage you people to give it tomorrow so that I can evaluate tomorrow only or day after maximum. But yeah, revision of the syllabus first of all, so that you are appearing with the mock, and this mock should be taken as a exam. You should take this mock as your final exam, so that you are going with that mindset that yes, this is my final exam. Second thing is read at least two recent past paper reports. Now, the exam reports, at least you'll get to understand what to do, how to do, what are the common mistakes that people usually do, and what is the examiner's answers to those mistakes, right? So, just read, skim through them. Today also, you just need to read them. You don't have to do anything with them. You can just highlight important points if you get any. That's all that your job is, and it won't take you more than half an hour, 45 minutes to just read and skim through them. The next one is make a list. This is list, sorry. List of your mistakes and follow through. I think this is one such thing which I told you beginning of the test series, that please make a list of the mistakes. So again, make list of your mistakes of the in the entire test series that you have people have done in the assignments and the test and in the mock also, so that you have the personalized list with you. These I discussed commonly for all of the people, right? But that list will belong to you only because those are your mistakes, right? So make a list of your mistakes so that you're not repeating them in the final paper. The next one is specifically focus on the areas you have problem. This is really essential because right now we have the time and we have the bandwidth to do the specific. We can focus on only the areas that we have problem in. Like you people mentioned that you have problem in substandard procedures, work more upon substandard procedures. If you have section A problem, do a lot more questions for section A. This is the time that you can actually focus on these problematic areas to make them your strength also for the final paper, right? So that is what I would say. Let's discuss during the mock. What are you going to do? Always sit with a fresh mind. I know for the people who are full-time students, they will of course sit with a fresh mind for obvious reason. They should actually. But with people who are working, please take some time out, take a half day or something. I know it can be a little challenging for the people who have busy seasons, etc., but try and do that because this is again for you. Because if you don't sit with a fresh mind, because my, technically what I'm trying to say is your mock will be a very good reflection of the marks that you're going to score in the final exam. All right. Supposing a student scored 51 in this mock and they sat with a fresh mind, everything just like a proper exam. This is around these 51 to 55 or even lower. That is the bracket that can also happen in the final exam. So please make sure that you're treating this mock as your final exam, sitting with a fresh mind. For the working people, you can probably sit in the morning or after you're back from the office or something. You just plan your day accordingly. You already know that it is tomorrow or day after, so plan your day accordingly. Give in proper exam conditions, lock your room for no disturbance. Again, this is I have written this is because sometimes what people do, section A they do in the morning, then they take good 3 4 hour chilling break, etc., then they sit for section B. If you're doing this, if you're doing section A separately, section B separately, or even the question separately, please don't give them all because it does not make any sense. In the exam, you're not going to roam around the exam center and give section A first and then section B next. It does not make any sense. So please give in a proper in exam condition, give in a proper room where there's no disturbance. You're sitting like an exam room and then only giving the mock. Time yourself question wise. This I say for my personal thing because I want to see because when I was checking your test, I used to say for the full test, but for mock, I want you people to send me question wise. For example, question number 1 in section B was about your 16 marker risk. So tell me, yeah, upar likh do, write it above that this is the time that I took for this particular question. Because if any of you are facing time management issue, I will get to know exactly in which question you're facing time management issues. Then I'll be able to customize your evaluation better in terms of that as well, right? So please make sure that you're doing it in the mock. Think of it as a final exam. Stop as soon as the actual time gets over. Don't overdo it. Please stop as soon as it gets over. If you want, supposingly, if you're able to only attempt 80% of this paper and 20% is remaining, what you can do is you can bifurcate the script. You can tell me ki yahan tak I was able to finish in the time, and rest answer please evaluate, but this was after the time. So at least I can evaluate if it is correct or no, but it was after the time. So just bifurcate it if there was such a situation so that I know what has happened. This is during the mock that you people have to do. Then the next one is after the mock. Once mock is done, probably you have gotten your evaluations as well. See if you have repeated your mistakes or were there any new mistakes. So see if there's any repetition. If there was, please slap yourself. I would just say don't repeat the same mistakes which you have done in tests or assignments or any other things, because that's a really really bad situation if you're repeating the exact same mistakes even after working upon them. If there are any new mistakes, again add them into the notes, the list of mistakes that you have done, so that at least these mistakes also you're not doing in the final exam. If same mistakes, huge problem. Visit your comments and voice notes given by me. So basically, I will be giving you comments and I will be also giving you voice notes on your personal WhatsApp. So I won't be sending any voice notes in the group. After your mock has been evaluated, I will be sending you the voice notes on your own WhatsApp, which will be personalized to your performance. So please listen to them really carefully. I will be telling you how to improve as well. So probably you can also make a note of them as well. Make a question by question note of what went wrong, why marks got cut. Again, this is very similar to what I told as notes to be followed, and then revision of the syllabus. That is what you have to do after you're done with your mock. So this is all in regards to what to do before, after, and during the mock. Let me quickly also share the weekly planner, so that again you can take a snip. I will share this PDF in the group that we have, but again, starting from tomorrow, as I mentioned, just a minute, as I mentioned, that do a revision of the entire syllabus. It won't take you much time to revise the entire syllabus. Watch webinars, 2 to 3 hours it would take, and revise or make your own notes. So this should be a priority. If for the first half of the day you can do this, and from the next half of the day you can appear for the mock, or you can keep the mock for 25th also, as and when you are comfortable. So tomorrow or day after, as and when you feel comfortable. Then the next day, which is 16th, you do the practice for section A, because section A is really, really essential. You're reading the examiner reports as well of the past papers and make simultaneously notes for the same. And if you have gotten your evaluation by then do the above thing that I've told you about the mock evaluation and getting to know what went wrong, etc. Then appear for mock 2, get it evaluated. Again, guys, I always say that at least appear for 2 mocks. For the revision course students, it's already as part of your course, of course. So we are going to do 2 mock evaluations. But I always say that appear for 2 mocks, because in the first mock, whatever mistakes I would have told you, because this would be the essentially the first time that you're appearing for the full mock at once before the paper, right? So there can be situations wherein you have messed up in something or the other. So when you appear for mock 2, that is where you get to know, okay, this was something I have improved, this is something I have worked better on, and this is something which I have to work more upon, because after the evaluation you're appearing for mock number 2 as well, right? So please make sure that you are, again, try to do it. If not, if you're not able to do that, that's also completely fine. It's just my suggestion that there should be 2 mocks at least that you're appearing before the final exam. Then the last 2 days, which is your 28th and 29th, only these things, nothing apart from that. You don't have to do anything new. Revision, knowledge-based questions, exam reports, past papers, your mistakes, your past mistakes, section A, and videos. That's all. Sunday has to be just your relaxation, nothing else. Nothing you have to do on Sunday, just revision. No doing of questions, no doing of any new topics, no asking me your doubts. I don't answer any doubts on Sundays. So if you have any doubts, you can ask till Saturday, because personally I believe that Sunday should be relaxation. Your mind has to be relaxed, because from the past 1 week or before even that, your mind would be so, working so hard on understanding these things, doing mocks, doing practices, etc. You have to relax on Sunday so that you can go with a fresh mind on Monday. So this is the planner. I'll share the PDF also with you people in the group. All right, any doubts?